Telogen Effluvium, which we talked a little bit in here. Sergio, do you want to continue on
Sure.
this one?
Let's start it here. Telogen Effluvium, as we were mentioning, is a type of hair loss that basically you see as a shedding event. Now, this shedding event can start small and it can grow larger. Usually it happens suddenly, but when it doesn't, one of the main features that we'll see is the diffuse type of alopecia. So we start seeing hair loss in just about everywhere in our scalp. Now that happens over time, but usually it starts with the shedding, heavy shedding, and then over time we will start seeing the alopecia, the diffuse alopecia, starting to form up, specifically on the sides and on the top of our head. Usually the back of the head doesn't get as much hair loss as the other areas on the scalp. One of the other features that we may look for is thinning of the eyebrows. Again, that's one of the features that could be related to telogen effluvium. And as we mentioned before, it can happen because of stress, hormone, diets, medications, lifestyle, even get hit in a particular area. The trauma, a blunt force trauma, can also cause telogen effluvium as well.
Yeah, so it's good to say that we have two kinds of telogen effluvium, either an acute telogen effluvium or a chronic one. So the acute telogen effluvium, it could be like postpartum hair loss, like the one I had after the baby, because of the changing of the hormones, as Sergio was saying, or sometimes when we take medications like oral contraceptives, your body will not will struggle actually to process whatever medication or new medication you are on, and then the sign that your hair will start falling, and it will fall with massive amounts, and it can be freaky at some point. But the good thing that telogen effluvium, as we said before, it doesn't last for long, somewhere between 3 to 6 months, and it is 100% reversible as long as it didn't stay for a long time. So the chronic telogen effluvium, it's kind of the telogen effluvium, like a lot of shedding, but it is over a longer period of time. Also, this is a little bit difficult than the acute one because your hair follicles were under stress for a longer period of time. To reverse engineer it, it's going to take double the time that it took. And again, it is the same thing with all kinds of alopecia. You want to know what happened, what is the trigger. You go fix the trigger so you can reduce the amount of hair loss by time until you at least stabilize it. But telogen effluvium, as I said before, it is a blessing in disguise.
The funny thing is, as we see the hair loss a bit, we start seeing also the thinning as it progresses. And eventually it could also become cicatricial if the condition persists. And that's one of the key areas of it. Now, we see a lot of that during COVID, haven't we, Carrie?
Yes.
Well, we have. And I'm going to touch base too, as a hairstylist, seeing people with telogen effluvium. I often see people like go from washing their hair regularly, and then they notice the shedding, and then they decide not to wash their hair as often. And so the hairs that they would shed typically starts to build up. And then when they wash it, they're like quadruple the amount that they would have lost, but it's because they built up the hair shed over the week, thinking that it will not fall out as much because they're not washing as often.
It is quite the biggest mistake, I would say, that people make.
Actually, you mentioned something, Sergio, very important. So after the pandemic we had, the COVID pandemic, actually there was research that I read this morning. 25% of the people who got COVID, who got hit with COVID, got telogen effluvium hair loss.
Yes, it's a big one.
Exactly.
I mean, people were coming to the clinic with bags of hair, bags. I'm not talking about, little pouches. No, I'm talking about bags,
sandwich
bags. Yep.
Yeah. So the top, I'm gonna read you what the article says. So the top four symptoms of COVID, you know how you have COVID, is the first one, you have fatigue, headache, attention deficit, and the third one was hair loss, the fourth one was attention deficit. So it was number 3 in the list, that you have hair loss as an indication of that COVID that hits you basically.
And it's tremendous. I mean, you will see it. I mean, you will see 3 months later after you had COVID, boom, you start experiencing telogen effluvium. And I mean, it's not like it's perfectly 12 weeks for everyone, but
Yeah,
most people that I've seen
yeah,
is either on the 6 week, 12 week, or on the 16 week. So those are the basic parameters in which I'm seeing people coming into the clinic after they had COVID. Now, the thing is, how do we treat this type of condition, Carrie? How you treat telogen effluvium? I know that in each case is quite unique, but what are some of the main features or some of the recommendations that we can make generally for people who are experiencing telogen effluvium?
For myself, with people with telogen effluvium, of course, considering the age demographic that they're in, my favorite recommendation is collagen and eating high protein and watching what you eat. So I do encourage people to increase their collagen intake. So uh, broth, what's it?
Yeah.
Bone broth
bone broth.
Is a really good one, or there is collagen supplements that you can take. I tell them to start increasing and being aware of the foods that they're eating and making sure you're having a good balance of amino acids and fatty acids, and I explain to them how they should be eating. And I know a lot of times too, I know a lot of people are, especially in January, are in weight loss mode, and so they're watching what they eat. And then you're healing after COVID and hair loss, and they're trying to grow their hair, but they're avoiding healthy carbs.
Yeah.
And you need healthy carbs for health production too, because it all works as a system. You need to have your proteins, your healthy carbs, your healthy fats, and a lot of people like cut carbs, cut this, cut that, plus recovering from COVID and hair loss. So I remind them what a well-balanced diet is, particularly for hair loss, because that's our industry. I am going to encourage hair growth. And so I encourage them with foods like that. So making sure you eat all the foods that are going to stimulate that hair growth. I remind them circulation. So tapping is a big one. I love tapping or scalp massages to get the circulation. And then the next one is exercise. You need to get your exercise. We need to get that heart pumped for 20 minutes a day, because that heart pumping is going to help circulate the oxygen in your blood to stimulate hair growth. And even as tired as you are, you got to push through it. Eventually, it'll just come easy peasy. But I find that is usually a case too, is because after COVID, you're tired, lethargic, yada, yada, yada. But we need to get our system up and going again. And you need to push through.
Me. I mean, after COVID, I've been gaining about 30 pounds or something like that. Now, Biz, let's not talk about weight loss here. What are the recommendations that we can tell our folks generally? What can they do for telogen effluvium?
So the beauty of a cosmetologist who is also a trichologist is he knows that telogen effluvium is it's an acute hair shedding, and that's why in this, like, usually hairstyling should be a little bit hands-off hairstyling. Your hair follicles are a little bit weak, so I think hairstyling should be put off until this I keep saying chronic, this acute phase passes. And also, as Carrie said, she said it all: your diet, your exercise, and just remember that it's gonna pass, and don't panic, because the more you panic, the more stress you're gonna have on your body. Then it's just a vicious cycle. Just relax, listen to the hair wire. It's gonna be very temporarily, and then it will pass.
And you don't have to cautious of treating something that you don't have to, because the amount of people too, I see it often, that they'll go to a dermatologist or somebody, and they'll give them PRP treatments and all these treatments that they do not need.
Let me say
That's
that.
true.
Yeah, let me say exactly what Carrie was saying. At this phase, scalp micropigmentation is a no, because the scalp is exposed right now, but this is not permanent. This is very temporary. So the minute you start like doing needles or microneedling or whatever it is you're doing, it's just gonna hurt the hair follicles, make them even weaker. And scalp micropigmentation will not help at this point, because you don't know what's gonna happen when the hair stabilizes. Scalp micropigmentation should not be done only if the hair loss or the hair is stable, basically. And anything, all the PRP, all kind of treatments is actually, it will cause harm than actually will do help.
Yeah, those type of invasive treatments should be on a minimum, if not wait until the hair, the part where the heavy hair shedding is happening. After that has happened, then we can move on. Usually, what I like to say for people when they're starting is, as a small regime, as this folks is something in general. So if you're experiencing hair loss and you're seeing a lot of hair shedding, what I usually would recommend is for 30 days. Just try this for 30 days. After that, you go to your regular routine, but try to wash your hair either every other day or at least daily. Why, Sergio? Because we want to remove all of those hairs that are already been falling out, that the follicles has already pushed out, and we want to remove them. We want to remove them to make way for new hair, because by cleansing the follicles, we increase the absorption of nutrients, and we are also helping with the blood circulation and the removal of waste. So if we start by simple washing your hair, use your shampoos, use your conditioner, use your leave-in conditioner, your mask, your oils, whatever treatments you have at home, use them, but use them in a fashion where for the first 30 days, you will use it at least daily, and you will start seeing that by the second week, usually, you start seeing a reduction in the amount of hair that you're washing on daily basis. In the first 2 weeks, you will see, oh my gosh, tons of hair.
Yes,
But by the third week, you will start seeing that that same amount is being reduced on daily basis. And now you're seeing, oh, well, Sergio, yes, I'm still seeing shedding, but not as much as on the first and second week. And that it's important that then after 30 days, then you start spacing it out every other day, every 2 days, at least twice a week, folks. So it will help you into the process. But when you're starting with that heavy shedding, I will suggest to try this. And if it start working for you, then you start moving to the next phase, where is stimulation, and we can start doing other things as well. But again, this is very complicated. It's not a one size fits all type of thing. So make sure that whatever is going on, you understand what's happening, and you're working your steps to get better.